Welcome back to GaleForceWins Season 3.
The GaleForceWins podcast is proudly sponsored by the Newfoundland and Labrador Construction Association. The NLCA provides unparalleled opportunities for its members through industry education, construction information, government advocacy, and networking events. The NLCA is building Newfoundland and Labrador. For more information, visit nlca.ca. Perchance Theatre is building anew. The Timbers have moved up the road to a permanent new home in Conception Harbour. Located in the former Immaculate Conception Convent, their home has now become the home of Perchance. GaleForceWins recorded conversations with some of the people who make Perchance an inspiration. This is one of those conversations. Thanks for joining us on Perchance to Dream, the podcast. Produced by GaleForceWins.
There's a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads to great fortune. Welcome to the Perchance to Dream podcast, and what a pleasure it is to be right here in Conception Harbour, Newfoundland, on the grounds of the Perchance Theatre. I'm Alan Dale. With me, as always, my good buddy Jerry Carew. So, Natasha, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
All right. So my name's Natasha Hart. I am from St. John's, born and raised. My parents are Jim and Daphne, and they were tremendous in my upbringing. My dad was is a photographer and a visual artist, and he, was of the generation where he was actually taking photography classes in New York and sending his film in the mail to get delivered and adjudicated, and really did his photography from afar through the mail. Wow. And so, and has, now into digital, but, used to develop his own work. And that was a big part of my upbringing. And my mom was always in the travel industry, and she went on to work in women in entrepreneurship and had this really fierce, you can do whatever you want kind of idea. So there's a lot of imagination, a lot of travel, and a lot of reading in my family. So that's sort of how I started.
What a foundation.
Yeah, I was going to say,
right?
Creativity, that travel bug, and entrepreneurship, and
absolutely
a lot to be inspired by there.
Absolutely. And so I went into theater when I was in high school. Absolutely loved it. Loved creative writing, loved theater, and found that to be my passion piece, even though I was doing a lot of other things, sciences, and, sort of just absorbing everything I could. So when I did my first degree in English and German, I decided to make it a theater specialty, and so focus primarily on understanding and reading plays. Finished my degree in Harlow in England, like many Newfoundlanders do. And from there went on to Prague. And so I spent a lot of time there in a collective. It was a traveling Danish Art Troupe. And we pooled our money together. We found, this was in the days of, you would pay $40 in Prague for enough for two people to eat for a week. Mm-hmm. And so we pooled our meager bits of money together, and we rented a warehouse. And some of the guys from the Danish troupe slept in the warehouse. We built a stage from things we scavenged, and built a bar, and we became this sensation in Prague, and had people coming in, and there'd be, a Croatian sculptor in the corner doing work. There'd be painters. There'd be people doing improv, people, singing with acoustic guitar. And so we just became part of this really cool art movement, and we were drawn there because it was supposed to be the Paris of the 50s, and we found it.
Yeah. That is such a cool story.
So absolutely loved that, loved being there. Prior to that, I had been an exchange student in Berlin, in East Berlin, when I was 18, and lived there for an entire year with families who couldn't speak a word of English. So I became bilingual pretty quick, just wanting to speak and communicate with people. So that became very easy. As soon as I got home in Newfoundland from the Czech Republic, I got a call from a group who were doing an academic sort of exchange, and they said, so you speak English, you speak German, you have an English degree. How would you like to come to Germany and work in a school as the English specialist? And so, you can do your interviews with parents in German, you can teach in English, you're a native speaker. And so I was headhunted for that, went, and then sort of said, this is it. Never in my life had ever thought of teaching. Always thought I'd be a travel writer and, performer.
Yeah.
And so when I went back to do my education degree, I thought, well, it's going to be English and theater. Like, that's where I'm going. Got a job at Booth, and then moved to Montreal, where I found this fantastic school called Lower Canada College. And while I was there, they gave me full autonomy. They said, this curriculum, it's yours. There wasn't anything firm in place. And so I wrote curriculum from grade 8 to 11. Our school ends at 11 in Montreal. And we created this fantastic movement of theater in the school. The kids just wanted to perform so badly. And every kid in grade 9, and there were 5 different groups of grade 9s, they all had to do a 1-act play for their English grade. And they became the feeder to my senior school play because they just caught the bug and realized. And so when I became the department head of fine arts, I realized what people are doing in visual arts in this school, what the teachers are doing is so high level. And it really doesn't get to be showcased because it's not performance art. And so we started looking at spaces to do more exhibits for the kids' work, to show it more in assemblies, to find ways to, have an arts week and a celebration, scavenger hunts, things like that, to really engage the whole school. We also had a 70-piece band. The band was 70. And so 70 kids were in our band. And so we, traveled all over the state. So we'd go to Philly and New York and Boston and perform. And so the headmaster said, this is an arts renaissance. Like, we have something big going on here, which, the school was very athletic heavy at the time.
Like many are.
A ton of fields, a hockey arena, like the whole thing. And so they said, I think it's time we build a fine arts center. And so the price tag was $10 million, and we knew we could do it. We launched a capital campaign, and we built the most beautiful fine arts center on campus, in Montreal and NDG. And I got to work with all of the architects and an acoustician to look at acoustics of how can this work for a band and for theater performance. Built a black box theater right next to the main auditorium, and art gallery on the top floor, band room, super high ceilings for people's ears, and you did it all right. And so it was with that, all of that experience, that I came back to Newfoundland and met Danielle.
So, okay, wow, what a journey. So you come back to Newfoundland with this incredible experience behind you. How did you and Danielle connect? Did you know each other before?
Actually, yes. So I did know both of Danielle and knew her peripherally. So Danielle has always been a force in our community and well known to do things outside of the box, and well known to do things that are risky, but also just so good. You have people who take risks and they learn from those risks and say, okay, this worked and this didn't, and they're workshopping ideas. When Danielle takes a risk, you feel the risk, but also you get to see something magic, right? So I knew this about Danielle, of course, as a theater lover. And when I was doing my theater specialization at MUN, she actually came into our class, our acting class with Denise Lind, and talked about being at the National Theatre School. And I was totally hooked and just thought, wow, this is, I could do that. I could go to the National Theatre School. That would be tremendous. Never did that in the end, But when I worked in Montreal, I actually would hire students from National Theatre School all the time to come in and direct a middle school play, or, to co-direct something, or costume designers, things like that. So I had that experience of knowing Danielle was there. Danielle's been an instructor at the National Theatre School. And I mean, really just, our nation's like top theater school. And of course, one of our own is not only a graduate, but a lecturer, professor, workshopper, someone who's held in very high esteem there. So fast forward to me coming home and finding myself at Lake Crest Independent School in a regular teaching gig. So teaching math and English and theater a little bit, but just infused in my curriculum, if you know what I mean, but not, the sole theater teacher, things like that. So I definitely felt that loss of identity and found my footing in doing some more fine arts, going in my dad's direction, and as well, working, with the musical teacher to do work, stage manage, productions of Annie and things like that. Not quite the same as what I was doing before. So one day Danielle was in the halls of our school, and this was about a year after I had come home. And she's doing Art Smarts. And so Art Smarts is this grant that artists and schools get to get professional artists to come into, and it can be a visual artist, a performing artist, to come into your school and to share their, knowledge with the kids. And so she and Paul were doing A Midsummer's Night Dream with the junior high kids. And so, I said, oh, Danielle, we've met, in the past, and I know we're like two ships in the night in National Theatre School, but I'm home now, and gosh, I miss theater. And we got to talking, and I told my story of, being a department head and how we had worked so hard to raise the profile of the arts, because I believe that the talent is there, and you just have to, the way really to enhance the arts anywhere is to just showcase what people are doing. Because when people are doing it right, then they just need that, they need an audience. They need people to see it and know what's happening. So I knew Danielle already had that magic going on. I had never even seen a Perchance show because I had been living in Montreal all that time. And so she asked me to join her board, and I, without hesitation, said yes, and then found myself around a table of fantastic folks, and have been with the company for 7 years, and have found myself now in the position of chair of the board, and have the most fantastic team, but it's all about Danielle. And I have so much to say about just what she brings to the table and what keeps me here.
Wow. First of all, I mean, you're near a perfect match to be chair of the board, which is fantastic. Perchance has gone through some transition from Cupids to here. Tell me about that. Is it tumultuous a little bit to get here, but not unlike what happened in the actual Globe, of course. Shakespeare himself had to move. So tell me about it.
I think the life of theater is little fires everywhere, and you're putting things out all the time. So you have, on any given day, something can happen. It's live theater, and that's really the thrill of live theater, is that we're witnessing something that is palpable and very human. And so as a company, we care about all of the actors so much. We care about each other so much, and the vision that having a home in Cupids was phenomenal, and the people of Cupids were fantastic, and we felt like home, of course, but finding a move to a new space was exhilarating, exciting, and terrifying, of course. We're interesting in the board because we understand that Danielle exists in a blue sky world. And she has this amazing ability and I know people go into places and say, in a blue sky world, what would you want for your company, or what, et cetera. Danielle's already in a blue sky world all the time, but the difference is what she wants for a company actually will come to fruition. So it's not just that, oh, you're dreaming. We have to protect her from herself in terms that she does too much.
Yeah.
But apart from that, we don't have to hold Danielle back, because Danielle is a force and we know it. So when we knew this move was happening, we knew it was going to work out. Was it easy? No. Was it bumpy? Absolutely. But what ends up happening is you move to a new community where, we're being cheerleaded. People are so excited we're here. We want to be outside of St. John's because that's important, because we understand that there's so much going on in the arts in St. John's, but it can't just be there. And communities need the life of theater in all communities, I think, and at least to have a center from which, people in surrounding communities can get to experience without having to make this long drive into town. So moving from Cupid's to here is a dream come true, in that we have this beautiful convent. We have a space for the actors to sleep if they have quick turnovers. We have space for our staff. So we have so many dreams about what this place could become. And the mock-up that's out there right now, this is a temporary spot. So, build it and they will come. It's built. And so, and people will come and people will go wherever Danielle is my theory, because Danielle is the ultimate curator. She knows how to pick the very best people with whom to surround herself, and then it just happens. So people come out and they volunteer. People donate to the company because they believe in us, and we get great grants because it's a successful, fantastic, from the ground up theater company. And so moving here, daunting, absolutely. Wow, this is going to be a big year for us, but here we are.
As the chair of the board, what is it like to have somebody like Danielle on the other side of that equation, who that everything she touches will turn to gold? She will surround herself with the best and the brightest talent not that she can find, but that want to be with her.
That's it.
Right?
Drawn like magnets.
And just know that there's going to be success here. We just have to guide a little bit. And what must it feel like? You must feel so empowered.
Sometimes we need to take leaps of faith financially and kind of go, okay, we're going to do it. A big part, though, is Danielle. So Danielle is infectious in the most fantastic way. And so we go into board meetings, and when she does her director's report, it is as artistic director of the company, she will start to tell us the story of, okay, so it's COVID, but we're going to do Power of One. And so we're going to employ actors, and we're going to bring together all of these voices, and we're not going to let theater be forgotten. And we're going to look at that solo power of the performer. And we're all like, okay, yeah, we're going to do that. That's great. How are we going to do that? Where's the funny, and then we start to work those details out. But oftentimes, and I know people have come to me and said, if you go to someone, say in upper management in any way, if you go with a problem, but you already have a solution in mind, you're so many steps forward in what you're going to do. And so that's Danielle in a nutshell. So Danielle seldom will come to us and say, I just want to do this, and sort of leave that hanging. She'll say, this is an idea I have. And this is how I've been, talking to all my secret advisors and, and looking at what grants are out there. And this is what I think can happen. So are you comfortable with signing off that if we get this grant, this will happen? And so it's an if-then, cause and effect scenario.
Right.
And of course, that makes us feel really great and secure as a board, but we know she's going to get it done, and we know she's a force, and we know that people are going to support her, and we support her.
We have a lot of people that follow our podcast, a lot of industry folks and a lot of government folks follow our podcast. And a lot of them are in the C-suite, they're in the decision-making positions. Well, what would you say to those people that might hold some purse strings, and how perchance can help them elevate their own profile being a part of this, because there's good things happening here.
Absolutely.
How can they attach themselves onto this?
Yeah, so anyone in the position to sponsor, to have their name associated with Perchance in any way, to think about philanthropy and community, and think about, what am I doing? What's my legacy? What am I doing for the arts in my community? What am I doing for people in my community? So you don't even first have to look at it as, what am I doing for the arts? Because right away you might not see what the arts actually do in performing arts. So when I look at a space like this, we're employing actors from across Newfoundland and Labrador. We are creating a space where people feel human, where people feel connection, where people see actors on stage and they understand the human condition through that. And in an age where increasingly we have all information at our fingertips, we are so instantly gratified by what we can do on our phone. And I say theater is a remedy to that, for actual human interaction, for community building. This is a community in itself. And wherever we go, we will already be a community of perchance. But we want that to grow, and we want people to feel those feelings of being part of something. And when they leave, they feel that. It's palpable here always. So I think that if you're in a position to make a difference in community, supporting through the arts is really the way to go, because you are feeding souls of people who feel something, who feel connection. And I think we've lost a lot of that since COVID. I think we've lost a lot of that through our technological world. For many great, technological advances we also have a lot of isolation and a lot of, and I see it in my teaching, just not knowing how to interact with people anymore in the same way. And so bringing us together in theater is a recipe for, I think, creating stronger and building stronger community. And who wouldn't want to be part of not only that and that vision, because Danielle is all about inclusion and equity, and a huge part of why I'm still on the board, because it's so much a part of what I believe in is community, is, finding individual strengths and building on those and finding out the way you can feel fulfilled being part of this company. And so being part of that in any way is magical. It makes you feel good, and you also know that you're leaving a legacy. And so
corporate Canada, America, whatever you can call it, corporate whatever, they're all striving for everything you just described.
Right.
And it exists here.
It is. It is here, and it is palpable.
Yeah.
And so I think, you just have to come and see a show.
I think that's the first step, right?
Yeah, I think the first step, just get in the door.
Yeah.
Look at Conception Harbor as the beautiful community it is. I mean, there's a sailboat in the harbor, a breeze coming off the ocean on a hot day, and here we are in this chapel as part of the Sister of Mercy's convent, beautiful space. And just outside, just in the back, there's this beautiful outdoor theater. Danielle's always incorporated nature in her vision, and having that outdoor space. And so we're a place like no other, for one, and in Newfoundland, and two, coming here, you get to feel that magic. You get to be part of something big. And then leaving there wondering, how can I be part of that?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's the key, right? You've got to touch this, you've got to see it and feel it, and then you want to do more. I know that when Jerry and I met Danielle, we immediately wanted to do more. There was something about what she was talking about that we said, something good's happening there. We need to be a part. That needs to be in our orbit too, right?
But on that note, Alan, she was so articulate. I've been in business development for 35 years. Probably the best presentation that I've ever sat. Within 5 minutes, she got to the point, and we were like, whatever you want, we'll do it.
Absolutely, yeah. Danielle is GaleForceWins. Danielle is a force. Gale Force. Yeah. And you saw it. Yeah. I saw it. Everyone sees
Everybody
it.
sees
and
it.
This is And so her ability to surround herself with great people is also because she's that beacon, and she's, we want to be around her as well. So that's very symbiotic in terms that, you want to be around her, she wants to be around you. And so she's created this, fantastic space. And, really smart, very highly artistic in her renderings of plays and cutting of plays, and just the way she works, fantastic, knows, where everything fits and where everything is going. And it's hard to find someone who has such business savvy, because, this is like Danielle, right? Danielle's at the epicenter of all of this. So it's hard to find someone who has that business savvy and that amazing creative brain, and getting it done.
This can be replicated in every community in Newfoundland.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know
A
where.
lot of Danielle's.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe by the sound of it, she could be at the helm of spreading it across the community. Is that something, is that a grand vision that you potentially have?
We have not ever spoken about cloning Danielle. It would be fantastic, because one Danielle could sleep a little bit and the other Danielle could do things, I don't know how she does it in the amount of hours in a day. But you can see in her leadership style that there are a lot of people in the company who start out as actors and then they grow into other positions. So they might be adapting a play for the first time, or they might become the musical director, or. So understanding that people live and grow and that there's always space to grow in this community means, and this company means, that I could not tell you that would not be an option.
Well, it sounds to me like it might happen organically.
That's it.
Right?
That's it, yeah. And
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and I agree with you that all communities need something. All communities need a space, again, where they can participate in something. And this isn't passive. So going to a movie, for people who are moviegoers, love seeing movies, love film and television acting, but that is a very passive experience. Mm-hmm. You could, I don't recommend, but you could throw popcorn at the screen and the actors will never change. Yeah. But the actors, there's a relationship between audience and actor. And when a performer is on the stage, they feel the energy. And so the laughter they get, the hush from something dramatic, they feel that, and it is in no way passive. It is a very active experience. Your heart can quicken. You can quickly feel. I am actually not a crier as an individual, and I have cried at least twice in plays. Sitting in public, just saying, "Wow, that was a flood of emotion." Mm-hmm. And then I've also laughed so hard, my belly's hurt. And so, being part of that and seeing the actors respond to audience is, as someone who I directed kids, but directed 26 plays in my day as a theater director with young people, and just know that feeling, know that, thrill of being on the stage, but that connection. Yeah. And so when audience members come to a show, they're part of it. They're in it. Whether it's so-called audience participation or not, which some of our shows can be. The Tempest has this great, times when the audience is asked to participate musically and in other ways, and it is very immersive. But in other senses, just being there and experiencing that live action, completely an other from watching something on a screen.
You reminded me of what Aidan Flynn said earlier this morning when we were interviewing him. It was about wellness. He said, this creates wellness.
Absolutely.
That's something I never thought about.
Yeah.
But you come away from this, you do this on a Sunday, what a great week you're going to have.
Absolutely.
When you reflect on the incredible excellence that was on stage the day before, right?
Yeah. And that's what, and when I say this is the cure to the, the app generation of,
I agree.
I need this at my fingertips instantly. And wow, you're going to sit and you're going to watch a play. And a lot of people feel they don't have the time, the attention span to even sit through a movie anymore. And that's where our world is. But sitting through a movie and watching a play and experiencing a play are two completely different things.
Yeah.
So you give yourself an hour or two and you suddenly are in it. And it's not a kind of experience where you want to get up and do something else. You want to look at your phone. You want, and that to me is also wellness. It's reminding us that there are real people and they're doing very real things. Yeah. And we need that.
It's very immersive. There's no doubt about it. The difference is quite remarkable. There's nothing better than being in live theater and, watching one of the actors finish a very impactful performance and the audience kind of burst into applause, whatever, to watch their face, and it's just like something magical is happening here, right? It's so cool to see that. I'm excited for what's happening here. Great shows happening this summer. What are you most excited about this summer and over the horizon?
I love The Tempest, and I love that we're bringing it back. It is so immersive, and as a teacher who's taught Shakespeare and who studied Shakespeare in my theater degree, I know it feels old. It feels, to a lot of people, they're trepidatious about seeing a Shakespearean play. But what they don't know, unless they've come to a Perchance show, is that it's in local vernacular and it has the feeling of Newfoundlanders in a set situation of local people, of people with whom we identify. And it's so lively that the plot is not lost on us as it would be in a reading or, the way people have experienced it in their past or schooling in the past. And so, these works are meant to be said aloud, and so many truisms that we, and quotes and things that we hold to be true today, come from Shakespeare. And so we get to say, that's where, right. So we make that connection even in pop culture today. I think Danielle is a master of that. I'm really excited about Flying Doctor. I'm seeing it for the first time tonight. This company is amazing with physical comedy. And have you seen Flying Doctor yet?
Not yet.
No. So we should talk when we all see it. I know it's going to be fantastic. I've seen a couple of clips from, and I know these actors. And that's the other thing too, that if you are a patron of Perchance, you actually see many of the same actors from year to year, and you get to see their versatility. So we have a core company, and we always have people coming in, and we have people, of course, moving away and doing other things during this time. But we have a core loyal group who you will see year after year on stage. And we, as audience members, you get to start seeing your favorites. And so you look and say, what is this person doing this year? So that's something I'm really excited about because I get to see the players in completely different roles. And of course, because it's a professional company, they're the company. And so most actors are in two plays. And so you get to see that versatility. I see all plays every year. And High Steel. I think that, first of all, written and directed by Mary Walsh. And she's Newfoundland royalty, just like Jody and Danielle and, all the people in this company, fantastic in their own right. And so here we have a chance to collaborate with Mary and tell a story that links, and so many, Steel Working Town, so many people went to New York and built high rises. And this is an experience that we have had, that I've had in my family, of my dad talking a lot about it and how he had friends who went off, and you see those those high rise pictures of the men, the classic black and white, eating their sandwiches. And even as a child, I remember my dad saying to me, Newfoundlanders did that. There were so many Newfoundlanders who went there, and he's always just, so proud of roots and who we are. So that's another part too. It's not just, there's so many things to say about what Perchance does, but every year there's a local piece, and every year there's a deep-rooted connection to something that we all know to be true. And we are very proud as people of what we were able to endure. And we still have a ways to go with making our Newfoundland world equitable. But we also have strong roots here. And so reconnecting with those roots and just knowing someone who was in the steel industry and knowing someone who went away to build and came back. Those are the stories we all know.
Right.
And so I'm very excited about every offering. I mean, Danielle pitches to them, Danielle runs the show. We know this. But she still, lets the board know, like, this is in development. This is what we're working on. We're talking about, bringing this in. And we just get so excited because Danielle knows how to pitch, and knows the vision.
Right.
And so what am I excited about? Absolutely everything. And I'm excited about this structure, which is a temporary structure, becoming this absolutely beautiful architectural design. So this is not, what the theater will be.
She showed us that new design.
Yeah.
That's what really grabbed us.
I mean.
That and many other things, but.
Yeah, and really in the end, I think if we had a couple of benches around and people came and saw the magic, they would already be enraptured, That's how it is. But a beautiful structure just means there's so many more things you can do. Right. And you build for what you need.
Yeah.
And so great season. And every year I've been with Danielle, there's always been something new and exciting. There have been so many pivots. And I know that it just keeps getting more exciting. And whatever little setbacks there are means that we're going to advance, fivefold. And so setbacks really become sort of momentary. Okay. But knowing our history together, we just keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every challenge around here is a great opportunity, isn't it?
It really becomes that.
Yeah. Well, listen, I can't begin to thank you enough. What a wonderful conversation it's been, and what great work you're doing as chair of the board, and harnessing all of this positive energy, moving in the right direction, and truly impacting this province and country. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Quite clear. There's a lot of, not only is Danielle a great leader, but you've got some incredible leadership qualities yourself. Thank you. Perchance Theatre is building anew. The Timbers have moved up the road to a permanent new home in Conception Harbour. Located in the former Immaculate Conception Convent, their home has now become the home of Perchance. GaleForceWins recorded conversations with some of the people who make Perchance an inspiration. This is one of those conversations. Thanks for joining us on Perchance to Dream, the podcast. Produced by GaleForceWins.